You have a reason to start making decisions.
It's a different mindset. It's like their way of thinking is, oh, it has to be a process.
You work with everybody, but so does everybody works with everybody. And yet a lot of people can't get things done.
Get to it fast. Right here on the Anycast. Make it strong, make it last. Right here on the Anycast.
Frequently, I think I like the company I'm dealing with, but what I learned is that I like the team I'm dealing with, and they're not the same. There's a few in both directions. Like, there's a few relationships that have gotten way better after somebody took over our account. And on the flip side, there's a ton of relationships that were like, oh my God, this is our preferred vendor for this. Anytime we use them, we can. Somebody either not even leaves, but just gets promoted. And now all of a sudden the day-to-day account team is somebody new, and they don't know the ins and outs. They don't know the angles, and they don't know the history. And you just like, this company I really enjoyed doing, I thought I enjoyed doing business with, now I just want to bang my head against a wall. And it's people that can navigate the system, whatever that is. It doesn't matter. Forget tech, forget procurement, forget anything. Like, if you know somebody who can navigate the system in any business, there's so much value there that it can unlock. And on the flip side, when you lose it, at least with me, it makes me go like, well, why am I doing this? Well, how did I get involved with these people? So like, you've been it's a long-winded way of saying, Greg, you've been doing this a long time. How important for you is it to have the right relationships? Like you mentioned, you work with everybody, but so does everybody works with everybody. And yet a lot of people can't get things done, or certainly not as well as you're able to do it. Is that the people on the other side of the table? Is that your experience? Like, how does the relationship play together?
This is another really good question. There's active vendors and there's inactive vendors. Or, you have a vendor where you set up a 1 gig internet line with Lumen, right? It's you're never going to revisit it. You're going to, every year or every 2 years, you want to renegotiate the price, right? But you never have to think about that because Lumen has a great service. But their process to getting to that service is a headache. So the question is, are you okay doing a lot of work up front to get a stable service that you really don't have to revisit? Then there's active services, right? Or active vendors where you are constantly engaged with, like you said, a sales organization or an operational organization within that vendor to get things done because you just have to, whether it's move ads changes or whatever it's going to be. And that gets sticky because no one stays around forever, like you said. And you can find yourself going from the A team to the D team overnight. So having someone like us in place obviously creates that buffer, right? Because you always have us. But let's say you don't have us. I think you just need to be clear that when you engage with a vendor, you're not just getting your sales team or your operational team's contact information. What are the escalation paths? Who goes above them? Who goes above them? Whether it's billing, sales, or operations. And then once you have that data, you never have to worry that if we lose a component that we're at ground zero, right? You always have that escalation path. More importantly is if you start to build a relationship with the escalation point, right? That senior person within that organization, one of your concerns should always be, I'm always worried that we're not going to get the great service we're getting today, right? So it's okay to have that dialogue. I mean, it doesn't have to be every day, but every quarter there should be a touch point with important vendors that you're active with to see where the health of that team is. And I think that's really important.
I get to experience Latin America through you a little bit. How much specifically, in a way that's different from, let's not necessarily the US and Canada, but the rest of the world, it seems to me that relationships matter more there. It's less times it seems to be about the business case, and more times it seems to be about who's making the business case.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. I think this is very similar to Middle East. I've been exploring Middle East a lot also. It's all about the relationships. In places like Korea, I worked a lot in Korea in the past as well. Relationship don't really matter, It's just paid. This is the price list. You commit this. Maybe 5% you can get discount, if you drink enough soju. But in this case, Latin America is very different. It's about how your relationship is, what you are doing for them. Are you competing, or are you completing something that they need? Do they need you, or do you need them? This is the question, right? It's very easy to work with a wholesale provider in Latin America. The biggest ones, they all peer for free, no problem, because you have what they want. They monetize what you have. But try to work with a eyeball connectivity. It's not because they don't want to. Okay, it's not because they see you as, oh, this guy is going to make money out of us. It's not fair. No, it's not that. It's a different mindset. It's like their way of thinking is, oh, it has to be a process. They need to come to our data center. They need to buy space. They need to buy remote hands. They need to buy equipment from us. Like, there are some data centers that are trying to sell me Dell servers at a retail price. And it's like, or some Cisco equipment, Juniper equipment as a retail price, MSRP price. And I'm like, guys, this is like, if I buy at that price, I can never break even. But yes, relationships matter a lot.
Do people buy at that price?
I don't know. I guess so. I guess some people does. That's why they're offering, and that's why enterprises and big telcos. Well, if you're in like Mexico, and if you need to connect to a specific ISP, that's like the incumbent there. There is no other way. There is no other way. You need to do what you need to do to get the connection, and sometimes you pay double the price of a space. Sometimes you pay double the price of a remote hands. But hey, there's a business case. But in every instance, I think the relationships matter. Without relationships, some places, I think Brazil, for example, is the closest to European and North America culture. You can peer not with the big guys, but in the United States, you can peer with also Comcast, unless you pay AT&T, Comcast, Verizon. The big guys are the same in Brazil, but rest is very open peering. Whereas in Mexico, in Colombia, in Peru, it's different. It's different. There is no, like, one of the largest ISPs, this is a real story, okay? One of the largest wireless providers, we had to go on a 5-hour call teaching them how to set up BGP communities. Not BGP community, BGP peering, okay? So, just imagine the mindset. They're running million+ wireless users, yet they don't know, in the IP team, they don't know how to do a BGP peering.
You asked about the mess versus the beautiful mess. And I think that's like a perfect example of there is a beautiful mess in that, it worked, right? It worked as designed. Like, engineering these things
wasn't going to LA
at an embedded software level is like, it's very hard, right? Like, you need to have some pretty amazing skills to do that. But in that moment, you would argue that's the mess, right? My packets are landing in Atlanta when they should be landing in Ashburn. And it's because sort of a higher order element of decision making in the network has not been tuned or is not doing its job correctly.
You're right. And that's where, as in CDN land, we work around it. And in, eyeball land, you go, oh, well.
And I think the thing that in eyeball land that we're trying to be much more thoughtful of is, okay, if you have a device or let's just say a software node on the network that maybe has multiple internet connections, and 10 years ago, this was not possible, right? Because most people had exactly one internet connection from, some incumbent in their area. We're just starting to see the prevalence now of people having multiple internet connections, right? You will have maybe a DIA or a broadband coming into a business, and then 4G or 5G backup, or, Starlink, right? They put a Starlink dish up on the roof, and you have this ubiquitous connectivity to the network. Like, now you actually have a reason to start. You have a reason to start making decisions at the edge about how to route traffic.
I feel like this is a what's old is new thing. Like, I had a shotgun, I can't remember what it was. I had a shotgun router between DSL and cable in like 1999 or 2001 or something.
Well, I think you were lucky to have two methods of connectivity, though.
I was lucky that my parents were willing to pay for two methods of connectivity.
Sure.
That was probably accurate.
How to network your IP. This is different, another route. So much more to talk about. Gonna aim to satisfy with help from CacheFly. Get to it fast. Right here on the Anycast. Make it strong, make it last. Right here on the Anycast. The Anycast podcast, brought to you by CacheFly.